All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling a passage that's all about the power of words.
This is a good one.
It is. We're looking at the book of James, chapter 3, verses 1 through 18 to be exact.
That's a section packed with insights into communication and the nature of true wisdom.
It really is. And I'm excited to unpack it all with you today. So, to kick things off, what's the big takeaway for you from this passage? What jumped out at you?
Honestly, it's the sheer power the text attributes to the tongue. I mean, James doesn't hold back.
Yeah, no kidding. He uses some really vivid imagery to get his point across.
Right, like the tongue is a small thing, but it can control a horse or steer a ship. Think about that for a second. A tiny bit can guide a powerful animal, and a rudder, even smaller in comparison to a whole ship, can completely change its course.
It makes you realize how much weight our words carry, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not just about controlling physical things. Words have the power to spark movements, to change hearts and minds, to, make history.
I mean, that's what the text says, right? Even a small spark can set a whole forest on fire. Like, wow, what a powerful thought.
Yeah, it really drives home the point that our words have consequences, even the seemingly insignificant ones.
Have you ever experienced that firsthand? Like where a seemingly offhand comment had a huge impact. Maybe someone said something that really hurt you, or on the flip side, maybe someone said something small that made your entire day.
Oh, totally. I think we've all been there. I remember once, years ago, someone I really respected made a casual remark about my work.
Ooh, I bet that stung.
It did. It wasn't even meant to be hurtful, but it really stuck with me. And on the other hand, I've had complete strangers say the kindest things, like a simple compliment that just brightened my whole day. It's amazing how much power even a few words can hold.
It really is. And this passage really digs into that duality of speech, right? Like
Yeah.
we use our tongues to praise God and D to, tear others down,
Yeah.
both coming from the same source. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it.
Yeah, it's almost paradoxical.
Totally. So how can something be so beneficial and so harmful at the same time? It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Right. And Jennings uses these really striking metaphors to illustrate this point. He talks about how fresh water and salt water can't flow from the same spring.
And how a fig tree can't bear olives.
Exactly. It's like this inherent incongruity of using the same instrument for good and for evil. It's
It's deep.
it is deep. And I think what's really fascinating here is that it challenges us to examine the source of our words. Like, are they coming from a place of love,
Huh.
of wisdom, or are they coming from, somewhere else entirely?
That's a great point. And speaking of wisdom, how does this text define what true wisdom actually is? Like what sets it apart from, what it calls false wisdom?
Okay, so according to James, true wisdom reveals itself in our actions and humility. It's not about bragging or being jealous.
It's about like lifting others up instead of putting them down.
Exactly. True wisdom is about listening more than speaking. It's about seeking to understand, not just wanting to be heard.
But what about situations where, anger is justified? Like what about speaking out against injustice? How does that fit into the text's emphasis on peace?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And I think it gets to the heart of the challenge James is presenting.
Because it's not like we're supposed to just suppress all of our emotions, right?
Right. It's more about channeling those emotions in a way that aligns with true wisdom. It's about choosing our words carefully, even when we're feeling angry or frustrated. Like, think about figures like Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. They spoke truth to power, they fought for justice, but they did so with a spirit of nonviolence and compassion.
Yeah, that's a really powerful example. It's like finding that balance between passion and wisdom.
Exactly. It's not easy, but it's definitely something to strive for.
Okay, so the text goes on to describe these fruits of true wisdom.
Like the good stuff that comes from living wisely.
Yeah. And it lists things like purity, peace-loving, consideration, mercy. It kind of paints this picture of like an ideal way of being. But honestly, is that even achievable in our everyday lives?
I think it is, but it starts with recognizing the power we each have to create positive change through our speech.
Like starting small.
Exactly. Like, think about everyday acts of kindness. A genuine compliment, truly listening to someone when they're struggling, offering a word of encouragement. These seemingly small gestures can have a ripple effect.
They can plant seeds of peace.
Yes, and those seeds can grow into something much larger. It might sound idealistic, but I truly believe that even small acts of understanding expressed through our words can contribute to a more compassionate and just world.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. So if we're each planting these seeds of peace with our words, what seeds can we plant today? Like what's one small act of understanding we can each try to express through our speech?
That's a good question. I think for me, it starts with being more mindful of my internal dialogue. Like, am I focusing on negativity? Or am I choosing to focus on gratitude and understanding? Even that internal shift can make a huge difference in how we interact with the world around us.
I love that. It all starts with awareness.
Absolutely. And intentionality.
So we've journeyed through this passage, exploring the tongue's influence and what it means to possess true wisdom. But the text leaves us with one final challenge, doesn't it? It says that no human can fully tame the tongue. So if we can't perfectly control it, what does it mean to, steward our speech responsibly?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think maybe it starts with recognizing that our words are a gift.
Ooh, I like that.
And like any gift, they should be handled with care and intention. If words are indeed seeds, as we've been talking about, what kind of garden are we cultivating with our speech? What kind of world are we creating with the power of our words?
That's a powerful image to leave us with. Really something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those seeds of peace growing. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Until then.